What's going on, guys, and welcome to November's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month and play it throughout that month, and at the end of the month we talk about it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And this month we played Project Zomboid, which we will talk about soon, but before that, let's get into some quick reminders that you have until tomorrow to play Boltstorm, Full Clip Edition, and Yakuza Kiwami, both offered for free on PlayStation Plus. Download those, play those, come back tomorrow. We'll talk about those games on Plus Club. Let us know what we thought of those games. We'll let you know what we thought of them. And we are moving into a new month, which means new PlayStation Plus games that have already been announced, which is very fucking convenient. So we have, I'm actually kind of excited, Soma, which is a survival horror game made by the same guys who did Amnesia. And I've played that. And Onrush, a destructive combat racing game that I've also played quite a bit. So make sure to play those next month, and we'll talk about that. That's going to be a good month. Also, before we move into the next month, we typically pick a game at random to play. And the other reason I'm stumbling over what I'm trying to say here is because I'm going to try out something new. I'm not going to do this very often, but I see an opportunity here to kind of do something fun for the community. I'm going to override the random process, and I'm going to pick Final Fantasy 14. As creator of this fucking channel, I'm going to fucking decide that we're going to play Final Fantasy 14 for December. So that will be a game of the month. Everybody will, who's already interested in it, will have a chance to play it. If you guys haven't played it, I encourage you to check it out. Is there any kind of free trials for that?
I think they just did one, sadly, so probably not anymore. You do get 30 days with it for buying the game, so okay. And it's often on sale. So.
Yeah. So game of the month for December will be Final Fantasy 14. Also, a couple quick reminders. We have Discord down below if you want to talk to us anytime, all the time. Link down below. And we are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd like to listen to us. And if you're listening to us and you want to watch us on YouTube, check us out at YouTube at Tasty Gaming. Yeah, so I think that's everything. There's a lot of random shit to talk about in the beginning of this. This month we played a game called Project Zomboid. And by we played it, I mean we finally got around to playing it for
a few hours.
Yeah. Kind of revisiting it. If you didn't get a chance to play it, just so you know, Project Zomboid is a game that came out at the height of the DayZ survival, zombie survival craze. It is a top-down, used to be 2D, but now is 3D survival game where you are tasked with surviving as long as you can during a zombie apocalypse under threat of zombies, I believe other people, and every other thing that could kill you: starvation, bleeding, infection, disease. I swear we heard a dog bark
and a woman scream
and a gunshot. So
we were playing on a server by ourselves.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things out there that could kill you in this post-apocalyptic world. It is unique in the way that it is, like I said, top down. It allows you to do a lot of things that you probably wouldn't be able to do in a 3D game because of the. I need to put this away. I'm gonna keep playing with it. I was like, why do I have something in my hand while I'm talking? It offers a lot of different ways to go about playing the game other than, just running in a room and searching for things. You can break windows. You can clear the glass out of windows. You can climb through windows. You can check if doors are locked, unlocked, climb through other windows. There's vehicles now in the game. You can break down almost everything for parts, which is kind of crazy. And so let's jump into our impressions. And for transparency, you've played this prior, right? I believe you have.
Not a lot, though.
Yeah.
I barely touched it.
Me and you played it a little bit a long time ago. I played it probably more than you did, but we played it when it was pretty much still in early access, like a long time ago.
Yeah, the only reason I ended up picking it up is because during a lot of during that time when a lot of those zombie games were coming out, you couldn't get me to play any of them with you because a lot of them were like server based and you had to play with a lot of other people, and this was one where you could make a private server.
And I always thought that you would like the survival aspect and not necessarily the horror zombie aspect, but I knew definitely you weren't going to want to deal with the PTSD inducing fucking people. Yeah. I still have trust issues from DayZ.
Yeah, and it's funny because I almost actually did play DayZ with you as well, but at the time, I don't know if they still do it this way. But they wouldn't let people make private servers at the time.
Yeah.
So that was a bust. And then this ended up being something we could do that and not have to worry about being griefed by people instead of me, actually being able to play a co-op experience with you. So that was a long explanation for yes, I've played it.
Yeah. I just want people to be clear. This isn't like a brand new experience for us, but almost kind of is.
Pretty fresh.
Yeah. Do you want to jump into your impressions?
Yeah. So, I mean, like Seth said, the gameplay style is very like reminiscent of Diablo in like the camera style, and definitely not the way it plays, but you do still move around with WSAD. And at first I was a little lost because even though there was a tutorial and I did do it before we played this time,
With all the raccoons.
it still doesn't tell you that much.
No, not at all.
So you're learning a lot as you go.
It teaches you how to move.
Looting is a weird one because it's a drop down menu you highlight
Yeah.
versus clicking on things.
I remember it was weird before too. It was almost too encumbersome, but it seems like they've streamlined it a bit. I think once you learn it, it's fine.
And in fact, that was something I wanted to say. It was like at first, when you're learning how to play the game, you're going to look at some of the functions and go, why did they do it this way? But then as you play the game and you realize the amount of depth to the game, you realize it makes a lot of sense all of a sudden. So, and it does just work. So as far as my overall impressions, I really didn't have a lot of going into this. I remember dabbling in it in the past a little bit, and I didn't really have a solid opinion then. I honestly probably don't even have like a super solid opinion now, though I do at least have one because I did actually get to play the game. How do I want to word this? It was better than I was kind of expecting it to be, because I was kind of expecting to play it and be like, oh yeah, this is okay, everything's fun when you get to play with someone, type thing. And in this case, actually, though I probably won't play it by myself, I found myself being okay with doing things on my own, even though I was playing in a co-op setting.
You were taking a lot of initiative and just kind of doing shit. I was just trying to create defenses, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to fucking make a garden and shit.
Well, so the game has a really cool skill system, which a lot of games don't do, and I don't get it. You start off with a character sheet very reminiscent of like a pen and paper game.
Yeah.
And you make your character's appearance, your name, and then you get to pick like a job if you want to that your character was before the outbreak happens, and that
Which gives you a boost in some regards.
Yeah, you get skills.
Yeah.
So like me and you, I think ended up picking the same thing, ironically, but we were both construction workers, so we were level 2 construction skill and level 2 something else I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
But your end score has to be a 0, and those are both worth, I think, +1 each. So I had to take a negative to get my balance back to 0. So it's a give or take system, which is really cool. So you can start off with no skills and not have to worry about negatives, or you can be me and be illiterate and not be able to read very well.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So all reading took twice as long, and I ended up finding out that reading is pretty important in that game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because when you find books, you actually have to sit there and read the book, and it's not a short process.
Right.
It's not like
and
you click it and wait for a thing to go
and
like this. Like you literally have to wait as he's reading each page. And when you stop, it'll actually keep track of what page you were on, and then start at the beginning again. And it's a little faster now because you have less pages to read. Once you complete it, I believe it gives you a boost to experience in that skill.
So the beginner books, and just for an example, beginner's cooking. You read it, you finish all 220 pages, and then for levels 1 and 2, you get increased EXP every time you cook until you're done with those levels, and then it goes back to normal, or you read intermediate cooking.
Yeah.
So you don't have to read, but if taking a little bit of time to do that gives you almost, I think it's 1.75 times EXP or something like that. So almost 2 times. And in the way this game works, every edge you can get really is important because the game starts off, and we didn't get into it far enough, but the game starts off pretty forgiving in the regards of like the only thing you really have to worry about is like feeding yourself and fighting off zombies. Water is easy to come by,
and not getting injured, because if you get cut, you have to stop the bleeding. You can rip up a shirt and use that to bandage it up, but it will actually get dirty over time, and you need to change it out or clean the cloth, and you can get infections and stuff like that. I mean, I was bleeding for like 4 days anytime I took the bandage off, and then finally stopped bleeding. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, and I had cut myself as well, but it only lasted 1 day.
So it's like I actually was sitting there thinking like, fuck, dude, I hope this doesn't get infected, because this is like days in and I'm still dealing with this cut. It's a really kind of crazy thing. Kind of reminds me of DayZ. Only I don't think DayZ offered that.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the game is super detailed in that regard.
Yeah.
One thing I experienced a lot with my character was my character kept getting depressed constantly.
Yeah, you were way worse than I was on that.
It was all the time. I would like when we found some dead rats, and then I cooked them on a fire so that they wouldn't be bad to eat. And as soon as I ate one, my character was like, "I feel sad." I was like, "Wow, okay." I mean, I would feel sad too if that was my choice for food, but
Not me. I don't give a fuck, dude. If I gotta survive, I'll eat whatever the fuck I have to.
sure. Well, and the same thing happened. I ended up opening like a can of dog food or something like that, and I ate that, and my character instantly got sad off that too. So apparently, he missed real food.
If I was starving, I'd be stoked to have anything, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And so you would have to find antidepressants. So you'd find a medicine cabinet, you take the pills, and it's not instant either. You have to wait for the pill to do its thing. So
Yeah, or you can like read magazines or read books. Will entertain you, but if you read the same thing over and over again, it won't work. Or like the game is really interesting because there's definitely longevity in mind, because when the game starts out, it's like the beginning of the apocalypse. So the power grid's still going. So buildings still have electricity, which sounds cool at first, but noise you make and light you make attracts zombies. So
it includes typing in the chat box. Your character is then talking.
yeah. When you type, they hear it, like whatever you decide to say. So, but eventually the power grid goes down and you don't have electricity anymore. So the beginning of the game is mostly like kind of prepping for that.
And the water goes down.
And the water goes, there's no running water because at first there's like sinks and shit that still work. So even though it is kind of rough in the beginning already, like it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah, I remember preemptively putting a bunch of bowls and pots out we ended up taking up shop in a warehouse style building. And I went out in the parking lot and I just started throwing shit.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't get depressed as much, is because I was deconstructing so much shit, like doors and desks and stuff, to get parts to build stuff, and that probably helps with having a task. Maybe I don't know how the game works, but I'm assuming he probably was keeping busy, so it wasn't hitting him so much.
Yeah.
And then I ended up building a fence in front of the building to try and block visibility from the street.
Even though the moment you logged out, a zombie showed up at the fence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I ran outside. I was like, no, you fucking don't.
Don't touch that fucking fence.
So, yeah, I mean, just to kind of shorten like the impression aspect.
Ooh, one more thing I want to add before we get into that. Sorry. They just recently added like more advanced weather effects, which is really kind of cool, and it does absolutely affect you the way it should. Cold, being wet, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of neat because in the short time we played like probably about 3 hours. Which probably, anyone who plays this game a lot is probably like, that's nothing. We know for sure. Playing that, I was like, this is a fucking live-in game, dude. You could sit here and play this for fucking ever, as long as you survive. And I'd actually really like to play it with more people. It'd be kind of neat. Because when I was telling Josh about this, I was like, this is one of those games that you're going to get stories from. You're going to have different stories to tell people. I already have shit I want to talk about from our gameplay adventure. But it was cool because we went from like it being sunny or whatever, and then there was like a day where early in the morning it was like kind of foggy out, and then the next day it was really fucking foggy to the point where like you couldn't see like very far ahead of you. And then like one day it was like kind of raining, and we're like, oh cool, fucking we got all these pots out here and we've been waiting.
And I don't have to water the garden and blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like a torrential downpour that night,
lightning
and shit. And like the whole building's like illuminating from the lightning and stuff. And I'm just like, this is kind of scary because fucking it's like dark and just pouring, and like, there's zombies out there. I'm not even like thinking about them right now. I'm just like, it's just a really cool touch to see these weather effects change up the dynamic of what's happening. And then me and you, we had 2 warehouses. They're running back and forth. And like you said something about getting wet when you're out there. Did something.
I was out in the water a long time, and all of a sudden I got a icon on the screen that was like, your character has become damp. You may want to go inside soon to dry off or something like that. So I imagine you can get sick.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Is I just want to add that like they're still supporting this game, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because a lot of games, I pretty much bought every fucking zombie survival game that came out, and a lot of them were too ambitious and they didn't get realized. Some of them did work. Some of them got abandoned, especially by now. It's been a while since that craze. But this game, in my opinion, has gotten better in every way. And they're still updating it. And like I said, when I first played it, everything was 2D. And now the character models are 3D. There's cars you can drive now, which would involve having to have a 3D model probably. The roofs of the houses look 3D. So I think they made it look 2D, but made it 3D now to... I think it was smart of them to start with 2D because they had so many systems in mind. It's easier to program 2D game. Once you get that all knocked out, I think they started implementing the 3D graphics, and I think it's really smart. And it's kind of crazy. Like I said, they just added a new update that added all that weather and stuff. So apparently they're doing good enough to keep updating this game. So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Also, one other thing I want to add is your character's vision is a cone in front of you as well. So if a zombie's sneaking up behind you and you don't hear it, you're not going to see it either unless your character is actually looking at it.
It's very fucking strict. Where you're looking, you see anything behind you or to the sides doesn't exist. If you look at somebody and then you turn around,
They're gone.
They will fade pretty quickly and they're gone. One thing I would have liked to seen in the game, it's not even a complaint because I think it's completely fair. It's just very strict on like, you can't see behind you, so why the fuck would we let you see? But it'd be cool to like put some kind of visual cue for sound behind you maybe on the screen. Because I'm not getting a sense of 3D sound when I play the game because it's a top-down game. So it'd be cool if they had some kind of like, I don't know, fucking light pulsing thing every once in a while in the direction. So like when Chevy and me are running around and I just lose track of sight of him or he's running through the trees, I can see he's making more noise or less noise through the branches, stuff like that. I think it'd be cool if they had something like that. But I get they're going for like a realistic thing.
Yeah, you're going to find, and at least I did. I found myself walking one direction, but like, doing a 180 degrees
constantly. Me and you were just walking down the street and once in a while we're just like just spinning with our bats, just like looking around.
Yeah, and then the amount of the items and stuff like that in the world too is really kind of overwhelming. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they all have a use of some sort. Which is
there's so many random things.
Crazy.
I'm like, are you really going to use this? And I'm like find other things you can do with it. Like I was telling Josh, like, when it was not snowing, when it was raining, we had all these like pots and pans and all sorts of shit outside to catch water. And he's like, oh, like buckets, stuff like that. I was like, everything that could be opened was catching water. It's fucking crazy.
Yep.
Like you can really use everything to what you would assume you can do. It's really impressive, like that they're able to do all that systematically.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too, that's kind of like something I wouldn't think of any game to really do is like you can dig graves. And you can put up to 5 bodies in the grave too. So every zombie you kill, and I don't know if maybe they decompose and you can get sick off it or something. I just kind of assume the system was made for a reason. So
we're just like, better just get rid of them.
I just started burying zombies after we killed them. So so it is a very in-depth experience. And like Seth said, it's a very live-in game. It's not something you're going to play in one night and be like, oh, well, I got the full experience. Now you scratched the surface. And that's all we unfortunately got to do. So.
I constantly had a sense of being overwhelmed and not in a bad way. I just constantly was like, what the fuck do we do? Like, and not like in a, I don't get this game. It's just like, we can't waste time. We got to survive. But at the same time, there's a lot of things we don't know that we got to figure out. How does first aid work? How does farming work?
It's like I was learning how to forage while we're trying to figure stuff out.
And it felt like I was actually almost in an apocalypse. I was just like, I feel like we're going to fucking die and I don't want to die. So we got to figure this out. And it's a very interesting experience. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty safe to say that's impression wise. If you have any like stories or things you want to add.
No, I'm kind of past that. For my impressions, I just want to say I liked this game when it first came out. I saw potential in it, and I'm very glad to say that they realized that potential and went further than I thought they would. The game is better than it was, so I actually found myself still liking it quite a bit. I was really happy to be able to play a game like this with you because you, like we said earlier, aren't really into these kind of games all too much when it has to do with like being on a server with random people, and I completely understand that.
I do love simulation type stuff though.
But Yeah, but I know you're not like a big fan of like horror games as well. And even though this is technically in that area, it felt closer to like a fucking like a farm simulator almost, like just because of the top down perspective and stuff like that. But the constant threat of injury, zombies and stuff like that keeps it interesting. So it's very cool to be able to play it with you. I'd like to get other people on there and play it sometime. Like I would like to go back and play the game. We waited kind of late, like we always do with Game of the Month, but it's less important to me than Plus Club. But it's a game I would like to go back and play because I was enjoying myself. I just want to I want to read up on some things before I get back into it because I need to know what the fuck I'm getting into. I'm really behind on what they've added with the game. So
yeah, I'd almost want to, as much as I like how we had a little setup, I'd almost want to start over.
Me too.
Just
100%.
character sheet wise to kind of play with that more.
And that's another thing too I really appreciate about the game is it has a lot of depth to it. Not even just in gameplay, but in character creation. Like the way they look is pretty minimal, but at least there is some choice there, which is cool.
Straight up reminds me of a pen and paper game.
But the stat page is really cool because, like you were saying, that's something I wish I saw in more games. I like the idea of having negatives to squeeze out just a couple more fucking positive traits, but you're gonna have to get those negatives too. I think it's a really cool way to either play it safe, have barely anything to your guy, or have your guy be like really fucking good at this shit, but he's kind of dumb with this stuff. Like I picked weak stomach, which essentially makes it so I can't really eat anything that's risky. I have to eat things that are for sure going to be okay. So like where some person might be able to eat, something that's like slightly old or something like that and probably be fine or raw.
Yeah.
And they have a better chance of, surviving that. My guy would probably get sick from it no matter what. I thought that was pretty safe because I'm already kind of fucking strict about, what I eat in games and in real life, I guess. And then also my guy was extra thirsty because honestly, I didn't expect to live very long in the game. So I was like, I'll just drink out of sinks constantly and be fine. And by the time we have to worry about it, hopefully we'll have something built up that we'll be getting, water regularly. And you don't honestly get thirsty like all the time, which is really nice. It's kind of realistic.
Never did. I was pretty good about just.
It only happened to me once.
If we walked into a building real quick, I just like.
Yeah. And you can fill like everything with water. So if you have a container, you can put water in it, which is a really cool system.
Yeah, 2 water bottles and a soda bottle on me that I had just full of water.
Yeah.
Just in case.
But yeah, there's just so much to the game and so much to explore and so many stories that you could have with this game that I would really like to play it. I think Josh has it too. I should get him to hop on sometime. But I'd like to plan it with people. This isn't a game like you were saying. I don't think I could play this on my own. I can play most games like this on my own, but this one seems like you need so much multitasking to be happening at once to make something happen. Like if I'm working on one thing, somebody needs to be working on something else because you're kind of racing against the clock. Food's finite, water's finite, everything's finite, so you need to be working towards those things. But yeah, overall, I really liked it. I'm really glad to see that it is better than ever and it is still being supported. So very cool. Well, did you like it? You kind of sound like you did. But
no, I definitely liked it. And I think the reason I liked it is because, and I've said it a couple times now, but it feels like a pen and paper game, right?
Yeah.
You make a character, you get to pick your appearance, your name, your skills, blah blah. And even when you're playing, it's so like it's still like an action based game. So everything you do is happening in real time, but everything is based off a skill, and those increase the more you do it. So you kind of have that. I'm getting better at things, and I really like that. I also, I said it earlier too. I like simulation games a lot, so I like, in a game, if I can Stardew Valley, I think is a great example. I love that game, and that is literally all that game is just farming, simulation, and very extravagant and obviously meant to be fun, but that kind of stuff really works for me. So Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, I love those kind of games. So
one thing I appreciate too, since it does have the threat of zombies in it, I'm glad that the combat works. Yes. It's not wonky. It's pretty straightforward. You press one button to raise your weapon, press the other one to swing it.
It has hitboxes, like distance-wise, which is crazy too.
And killing zombies isn't like a super difficult task. It's more so the longevity of the fight. How long can you keep fighting zombies?
How many are you fighting?
What's the durability on your weapon? Is it going to break in the middle of fucking a group of zombies attacking you? Pretty much all the things you think about when it comes to a zombie apocalypse. It's not the individual slow moving zombie that's going to kill you. It's the fucking time involved with defending yourself from these things. How long can you keep doing it? Which I think is kind of cool.
When you're going to make that mistake and get bitten, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a couple times we were in that bar. I went in the back bathroom and a zombie just fucking came out and attacked me. It was out of my view.
Yeah.
And it's actually made me jump, which is weird because I don't jump from almost anything very easily. But that I was like, holy shit. And then another time, one just came running out of the trees. Didn't even see him. So I think those kind of things is why the vision is such a good idea in that sense. Is because you don't see, threats coming from places you wouldn't see them coming from. So I'm just glad that some of these games, the combat can feel kind of weird because they put so much work into the amount of items and what you can mix and match and craft that they put less work into actually hitting shit, which is kind of ironic because that's a really important part of the game. I never had to use the shotgun. I found 2 shotguns. I sawed one off.
Yeah.
I was dying to use them, but I'm also not dying to use them because it's a last-ditch effort and it's going to make noise. But I really want to see what that was like.
I'll say there was one time we busted a window out and instantly 4 zombies started coming. So I was just like,
Yeah, they're very, very sensitive to anything that's happening.
Yeah.
So
actually really reminded me of, it's a weird example, but like the first Telltale's Walking Dead, where they're kind of introducing you to the world. And you're stuck in the drugstore and you're trying to get the zombies away from the one pin zombie to get the keys. And so you're trying to turn the TV on for that noise so that all the zombies will go over there type of thing. So
yeah.
Sorry, the random.
Yeah, I mean, even when a TV's on, they'll come walking and shit. So which is kind of
we walked in one house where there's a radio on because we were trying to figure out why a zombie had broken in and was beating on a door inside the house. And it's because it was after the radio.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say. I liked it a lot. It's gotten better. So,
should we do recommendations then?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in first. If you like survival games, I think it's a very good game to go to. If you like zombie survival games, it's definitely a must in my opinion. If you like sim games, I think you might dig it if you can get past the zombie survival aspect because there is a lot of micromanaging in this game. If you were to build a farm, you got to take care of it. If you want to bury bodies, fucking you got to do that. Like if you want to collect water and collect food, there's so much things you got to do in this game that I could see somebody who's into that liking this. If you like zombie anything, you'll probably dig this. If you like multiplayer co-op games or potentially adversarial, I'm sure there's servers where you can go against people.
I intentionally had turned PvP off.
Yeah, which is good because I don't play those games for that.
Because I know you're giving a recommendation, but it just reminded me when we were in the house and I was fighting a zombie and you were kind of like hanging back, and then as soon as we're done, you're like, can we hurt each other? I was like, good time to find out.
Yeah, Chevy was like in there hitting a dude, and I'm just like trying to get around and shit. But I'm like, instantly in my brain, I'm like, I'm not gonna hit him because if I hit him, even if he survives, I could fucking like damage you, and then you could die in like 3 days from something. So I'm just sitting there like, but at the same time, like I need to get in there and help kill that fucking zombie. So, and then after that, we just tested it, and nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, good. I keep wanting to say I'd recommend this to people who like Diablo type games, but they're not the same. They're not the same. It's just the perspective. That's it. So you should still check it out. But if you're only into that kind of game, you're not going to get that experience here. So it's
pace
not,
is too slow and it's not loot driven.
It's a very methodical game. In fact, I don't think a lot of people would be able to continue playing this unless they are specifically into what its strengths are.
Yeah.
Because if you're somebody who wants to hop in something, get a match done, spend 10, 15 minutes doing this and that, this game's not for you. You got to spend time to fucking invest in this game. You got to pretty much live in this game to make anything out of it. So yeah, I can't recommend it to a shitload of people, but there are a lot of people who like, Sims and survival games, stuff like that. So, and if you play this back in the day and you have thought about it, I would recommend this to you because it has gotten better and they're still updating it. So it's better now than it has been, in my opinion. So,
yeah. The only addition I have to that is if you like pen and paper games, I think it's a good
zombie
light
pen and paper game
representation of pen and paper.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to put it, but I agree 100%. Yeah, what would you rate it? Grade it?
I'm a little surprised by this myself, but I would probably give it an A minus. I think it is for what it does.
Goddamn.
For what it does. And if you're into, like you said, you're the type of person that it works for, I think it is a very well-made game, and they've put a lot of attention to detail in it. Like, you break a window out and you climb through it and you didn't clear the glass out first, you're going to probably get cut on the glass.
Yeah, I cut on my arm and knee from climbing through
and that
a broken
becomes
window.
an entirely new hassle you have to deal with all of a sudden. If you could have just taken a second to clear the glass out. And obviously the flip side of that is you're running from a zombie, you don't have that time.
Yeah.
So that's something they thought about and they put in the game. And that's something you would normally do in a sit-down session playing a slow-paced RPG with, around a table with some friends instead of in a video game.
Well, I can just imagine people having stories of like, I got killed by a zombie. Well, I got killed because my wound got septic when I had to go through a window quickly because there was a bunch of zombies. And a week or two later, I died from fucking an infection or something. Like, there's all those different stories you could have with a game like this because there's so many things involved with the gameplay.
For sure. And then, more, just a couple other examples of care of detail. We brought it up already, but when you swing a weapon, it has a reach. That reach matters. I've swung at things and barely missed them. And then they got close enough and I had to push them away at that point because I swung too early. So timing matters.
And you got to pay attention to when they're on the ground, you're hitting them and make sure they're down, because you can be having like 5 zombies coming at you and you're knocking this one down and then swinging at that one. That one starts to get back up. You want to make sure they stay down.
And it follows the rule most zombie games do. But like I remember seeing it first in Resident Evil. If they gush, they're dead.
Yeah.
So,
luckily the game does give a really satisfying blood effect across the floor.
For sure. I mean, I honestly don't think I have anything negative to say about it, except for on the tech side of it, running a dedicated server is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But if you're not doing that, that's really a null point. And really, the topic is the game itself. And so I'm not going to dock it for its server side stuff. So
you're definitely not docking with an A minus. That's awesome to hear, because when we were playing it, I was like, I think Chevy's actually liking this.
Yeah.
I feel like you're enjoying it because you're like, you're not just going like, yeah, well. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go do that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this. I pretty much spent the whole time fucking deconstructing a whole office building.
Hey, you were just demo crew.
Yeah.
It was like when we played Ark.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Forest.
Yeah. I'm gonna mirror that. I'm gonna give it A minus as well. It's teeter-tottering between a B plus and A minus, but I agree. I don't have complaints about it. My only complaint about it is I don't have time to play it, and not time like I can't schedule it in. I don't have like the multiple hours per game sesh to fucking enjoy it. I mean, like, and hopefully we can schedule out a time to sit down on the server and play it, because it'd be really fun to play with like a lot of people, especially in a cooperative sense. But yeah, I'm giving it A minus. I am really impressed to see games of that era, any of them. I mean, DayZ still has fucking issues. Come out and be better than they were, and add more content, and be so ambitious and realize it. And they definitely realized it. What you expect from this game, you get more than you expect. It's really fun to play. It's really fun to play with people. It's not too heavy on the zombie stuff. It's there as a threat, but it's got the more underlying factors you got to worry about, which is the more interesting aspect of it to me. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I definitely would play it again. I want to play it again. So
I do want to, as a side note, add, because you had brought up a gameplay aspect. I can't even remember exactly what you said at this point, but when you're making a server in this game, there's a lot of options too, which I think is super awesome to see. You can actually turn the zombies off if you just want to play a survival game. And you can do that way. You can play it with light, normal, heavy, or extreme amounts of zombies. You can choose.
I want to see someone try the fucking extreme.
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
You can have the zombies evenly dispersed throughout the map, or they can be more centralized in urban areas. I mean, there's just a lot of options. You can also choose to not have the grid on when you start. You can also choose what stage of the outbreak you're in. It's very robust server options. So whatever kind of style of
it's a sim
apocalypse you want to play, it's there. So
I think it's cool you can turn the zombies off, because there's still a game to be played there.
100%.
You don't need the zombies. That's just an added incentive, like to be like, ooh, there's roaming trouble coming. Like
Those are free bandages, man.
yeah,
Strip those fuckers and turn the clothes into bandages.
yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of bandages. Although I'd be less inclined to want to be bandaging up my wounds with zombie clothes.
Yeah, wash them.
I've seen too many zombie movies. I don't stay away from them. But yeah, 2 A minuses.
Yeah.
Very fucking surprised to hear that from you. But I figured you're gonna give it at least a B. So just because the game's solid. Anything else?
No, I mean, give it a shot. If you know what we were saying even sounds remotely interesting, you might find yourself surprised like I was. So
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Have you played Project Zomboid at any time during its development? Have you played it recently? Did you play it back in the day? Have you not played it at all? If you haven't played it, why haven't you played it? Haven't heard of it? Not interested in that kind of game. If you have played it, what'd you think of it? Feel free to throw a grade in there. Let us know what you thought of it as well. And quick reminder as well before we end this: Final Fantasy 14 is next month's Game of the Month, so make sure to play that. And that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month for November. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty Lou Gaming. Check out my streams on Twitch at Tasty Senpai, all one word. Hit the notification button to know when I go live. I also dual stream, so if you want to watch it on YouTube, you're in the right place. And we have a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all the time. And we are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you would prefer to listen to us, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And Chris was not here for this. He has been traveling this month, so he's been busy.
Month,
yeah. So, but he will definitely be playing next month's Game of the Month. Yeah. Till tomorrow for Plus Club. Have a great night, guys. God damn, I can't talk. And take it easy.